Hiya, and welcome back to Promises to Keep. The game that teaches us that we missed you, Fanta dog. We missed you. Anyways, let's just hop right in. I do not like the new Discord system. This time, though, I'm not afraid of what awaits, not with Rofi protecting me. I think this is the Rofi route. The Rofi save. The howling wind, and a steady, persistent pulse. Where am I? I shiver. The wind chill starts to pierce my trusty sweater. No point of standing here aimlessly, I need to stay warm. I inhale once, and start walking. Walking through the endless night. Nothing but black, far beyond what I can make out. I can see my breath as I exhale. Getting cold, is it? My ear perks up, neck fur bristling. Who there? Who's asking? Me. Then I don't have to care. Regardless, I come bearing gifts. I feel something, a weight, in my pocket. But before I can reach a pawn side, I blink and something warm appears in my grasp. What on earth is happening? A picture frame. Mom and Dad and me. Looking at them warms me. Just a little. I clutch the frame close to my chest, extracting whatever heat I can from it. But before long, I feel a force tugging it gently away. I look up, squeezing it closer in defiance. A laugh echoes in my mind. This doesn't come for free, you know. Then what doth it cost? A simple journey down a paved road. A scenic view, a steady-moving vehicle. Surrounded by intricate fencing. We don't want you staying off the path, of course. I tune the voice out almost entirely, focusing on the heat radiating through my chest. I mumble in response. Right, that makes sense. As I stand there, I feel the frost melt away. Hang on. Okay. This is comfortable. An eternity passes, just me and the framed photo. Which one? Yeah. Where does it lead? The frame glows dimmer in my paws, a faint warmth. What? Where does the road go? As long as you stay on the path, you'll arrive where you're supposed to. And where's that? I don't get to choose, do I? You can't drive through fencing, no. What if I want to try? There's nothing but hardship past these guardrails. But is this path really a true choice with the guardrails up? Of course it is. They're there for your own good. And what if I don't want that? That, my dear, isn't how it works. You'd be refusing a future of stability, a future of happiness. My happiness? He vanishes. Is it my happiness? I call it to the void louder this time. If not mine, then whose? The frame glows brighter, as if to give me an answer. Then he returns. It doesn't matter. It becomes yours. With time. But what after? That doesn't matter either. It'll be enough. Will it? He can see the gears turning in my head. The millions of futures and the millions more decisions playing out. Maybe, just maybe, their love. Maybe it'll be enough? A sinking feeling of dread bleeds through me. But maybe it won't. This doesn't feel right. I can't do this. The frame's glow dims once again. Then it snuffs out completely. Startled, I let the future, that future, slip from my paws. I stumble backwards. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Did I? Am I lying to myself? Who am I even apologizing to? Although... That's it then? I'm free? Far from it. Just look at yourself. One blink later, I'm faced with my own reflection. He's so hollow. Frightened, I take a step back. Right on cue, a disdain chuckle rings throughout my head. I feel the laugh vibrate through my skull. It hurts. How silly of you. This is inevitable, Rofi. You can't run from this. Yep, we're doing the Fanta route. Not without shame, disappointment, loneliness. I squeeze my eyes shut and shake my head. Stop! Look at him. Look at the smile he wears. Stop it! He's happy. An unseen power forces my eyes open and I stare at myself in the mirror. Is it his happiness or is it borrowed? I don't want this. And you're sure about that? I'm Thor. My voice comes out shaky, betraying me. And you're comfortable then, with the emptiness? I can find something else. It's awfully cold outside. Once you get yourself thrown out, you won't have much time. I'll find something else. There's no going back on this. Raise my own voice as if to chase the other voice away. So I won't! Always the optimist. Get out of my head! I jump backwards, heart sinking. Just like that, the last of the light is gone from my surroundings. I can only make out wisps of smoke now, dancing further and further away. Only then I notice how hard I'm breathing. Hello? No response. Is anyone there? The void doesn't answer back. Of course it doesn't. The cold begins to seep back in. And whose fault was that? I'm an idiot. I didn't think this through. I feel tears start to well up. Then, another chilly gust sweeps past me, a reminder of my predicament. I need to keep moving. I take a moment to regain my breath. I wipe my paws across my eyes, drying them. Now's not the time to wallow. I clear my throat, then call out to the darkness once more. So you'll just watch me freeze to death here? Silence. I look down at the shattered glass in front of me. He was right. There's no going back on this. I remember the other gift in my pocket and reach for it. A matchbox with a single match. It's hardly enough to keep me warm, so I let it fall back in my pocket. I turn around, out of options. I can't stay here forever. Onward that is. I fold my arms, every breath releasing a cloud of steam. I wonder, if I froze out here, would anyone come? Would anyone even find me? I wander in the frosty darkness for a while. Then I sit. I sit, and I think. I don't get to do this often, but now seems like the perfect time. I put my head in my arms. I'm so cold. I just need someone, something, anything warm. Even if it's not forever. As if the void could hear me, I'm blasted with a wave of overwhelming heat. I look up and open my eyes, scrambling back. No voice. No incorporeal body. Just a simple lit table. Curious, I stand up and approach it. On the tablecloth, I see little trinkets and photos sprinkled about. So many futures. So many chances. Everyone flickering bravely in the dark, little chunks of glowing coal on their own. But in harmony, providing the comfort of a roaring fireplace. I do what feels natural in the moment, wrapping each and every ember in my fur. I exhale, resting my head on the altar as I hold its decorations close. The last of the frost leaves my soul. My eyes begin to water, the heat starting to become too much to bear, but I cling to the table anyway. Like a parched traveler finding an oasis. I had almost forgotten what love felt like. Then, a searing iciness brushes over my shoulder. I gasp for the breath I just let out. This here makes for a sorry comparison. I tense up, bringing the decorations closer to my fur in defiance. I thought you left. Like I asked. I couldn't bear to watch you waste your life like this. Don't pretend like you care. Well, it's pathetic, really. This sad little bundle of embers. See how they amount to nothing. I look up. But together they protect me just as well. Yet they're still nothing compared to what you threw away. Take a closer look. I withdraw a little, setting the items back down before picking up one of the frames. I'm flooded, first by realization, then by guilt. How did this turn out for you? I don't have much to say. Do you really think his love was worth anything near theirs? Because it certainly didn't seem that way those years ago. A familiar dread starts to creep back. The lit frame in my paw flickers like a light bulb on its last life. Then, it goes dark. And cold. I look to the altar, still brimming with life. But there are still so many opportunities. And what makes you think any of them will be any different? Reach for the next frame, but before I can touch it, it goes dark. Smoke, once again. Stop that! I try to act faster, grabbing another frame. It glows weakly as I touch it, then goes out. Please stop doing that! Like dominoes, each part of the altar begins to dim, until the final bit of color drains off the table, into nothingness. Nothing left but the bitter cold. As if to mock me, he appears again with a smirk. I didn't do anything. You failed. You chose this for yourself. So you're just letting me freeze here then? You're letting yourself freeze. Luckily for you, you're not out of options yet. I remember now, reaching for my pocket again. Then I take one look at the table next to me, realizing... You're cruel. I'm not forcing you to do anything, but it's you or them. I divert my gaze towards the lifeless table again. I'm not going to do that. I turn back around, and he's gone. I sit down once more, leaning against the altar. I can weather this. I think. I hope. Minutes pass. Hours. Days. I can't even tell how long I've been here. I can barely feel my arms or legs, the frost is setting more aggressively than before. If I don't do something soon, I'm really out of options, aren't I? It's felt like millennia since I've heard that voice. But he's right. I put myself in this situation, so I need to get myself out of it. I pick up the matchbox, carefully extracting a small match. As I strike at a glance one more time at the photos, all those happy possibilities, there's no going back. It's just like you said. No response. It truly feels like I'm talking to the void now. I close my eyes, squeezing them tight, as if I could shut out what I'm about to do. As soon as the flame meets the first picture, I feel the gnawing cold bleed off my fur. The fire begins to spread from frame to frame. As the table burns brightly, I sink to the ground, huddling close to stay warm. The heat feels so nice I could just break down and cry. The fire crackles merrily, the only sound left in the whole universe. Please, please just burn a little while longer. I start to regain control of my frigid body as the last of the blaze extinguishes. Forward. I just have to move forward. I can't let the memories cloud my thoughts. I don't have time for that if I want to survive. I pick myself up, looking at the ruins around me. They can't help me anymore. Then, with a breath, I take the first step forward. I stride slowly, each step taken with a cruel finality as I distance myself from what could have been. I barely notice the tears running down and off my cheeks. The ripples they make, a feeble effort at reaching back to what's already done. What I've already done. There's no going back. Oh no. I feel like we're missing some details. I wake, not with a jolt, but with a slow, halting shift. My filmy eyes cracking open. the shadowed structure of Rofi's room forming once again around me. No broken glass, no blood, just a stiff and choking silence, and the faintest hint of smoke. My injured paw twinges slightly. I raise a paw to my face and rub my eyes, only then realizing how damp my cheek fur is. My paws meet the mattress, sheets just slightly stained with tears, probably mine. A sense of gentle dread pulls me back under the covers, but I resist. It's still dark outside. I shuffle about for my phone, my joints popping and crackling softly. Not quite 5 a.m. I shiver, suddenly racked by chills. Rofi must have moved while we slept. He lays now with his back to me, fuzzy shoulders rising and falling rhythmically. Last night I would have pressed myself against him, arms encircling his torso, cradling his warmth next to mine. Now, I'm hesitant. Hesitant to strike another match. Still so frightened, even after all these years. The timid animal inside me triumphs, just like it always does. I rise silently, with only the slightest rustle of sheets, and gather up my things. I slip my jacket over my bare arms. Cold comfort and a poor replacement. But safe. Endlessly safe. A poor replacement. I look back one last time before I slip into the hallway. The gentle rise and fall of Rofi's shoulders seems to have stopped. Is he awake? Awake and holding his breath? Waiting to see what I'll do? I cross the threshold and shut the door with as quiet a click as I can manage. There will be no more sleep for me tonight, so that means it's time for coffee. I pad down the stairs, heading for the kitchen. I can hear the wind howling insistently outside. The windows are all covered and the snow seems to have picked up since yesterday. As I approach the kitchen, I notice the lights are on. Someone else must be awake already, too. I weigh the odds of seeing someone else against getting my coffee, and the coffee wins out. It's Theo, sitting in his usual spot. The fox is tapping aggressively at his phone, eyebrows furrowed, a full mug getting cold in front of him. His eyes flick up to me in a brief hello before falling back to the phone screen. That's not like him. Something must be up. I was kind of planning on getting my coffee and leaving, but I should probably see what's troubling him. Morning, Theo. Everything alright? He continues hammering at the screen, offering nothing further. Though his voice, what little I've heard of it, is flat and controlled, his entire body is tense, like a rubber band being pulled taut. I can't quite place where this lingering stress from yesterday or a result of some new crisis. Maybe this is what he's usually like, and the cheerful veneer I've grown used to has been a facade. Maybe a mix of all three? Make my way slowly over to the coffee machine, find myself almost tiptoeing, not wanting to disturb whatever he's doing. Gurgling coffee pot seems to take days to fill. Finally, with the steaming mug in hand, I settle down in what has become my seat. We sit quietly for some time. I sip my coffee, he ignores his. Right when I decide to break the silence, he speaks. His voice hard and flinty. I have to struggle to keep myself from flinching. I think Diana, the old ewe in number 27, is still in her apartment. Oh. The table falls silent again, save for Theo's frenzied typing. Are you talking to her now? No. If she even has a cell phone, it would be dead by now. Talking to the fucking Robinsons in number 30. The venom in his voice surprises me. Jumps out for only an instant before he tucks it away neatly again. Are they across the street from her? Yes. Another long moment of silence. Theo breaks it by setting his phone down firmly on the table, face down. Looks right into my eyes, and suddenly I see the barely contained fury, the panic, seemingly mere moments from breaking loose. They won't agree to let her stay with them. That woman is almost 90 years old. She is tiny and rail thin. If she stays in that house much longer, it's gonna kill her. Well, I try to keep my voice from shaking. I know his anger isn't directed at me, but I feel flattened by it all the same. Maybe we pay her a visit and see if she's alright? She's not. I went over there earlier today and banged on the door and all the windows until she answered. She said she wasn't leaving the house until she knew she had somewhere else to go. Only now do I notice the coat draped over the back of his chair, the melted snow still clinging to his fur in patches. How long has he been awake? When I don't immediately reply, he snatches up his phone again and resumes tapping with renewed ferocity. Think, Leo, you've got to just say something. Well, I don't know if you've already done this, but you could call the Robinsons, like, instead of texting, maybe hearing your... Theo shakes his head jerkily, no longer able to contain the anger in his voice. If I do that, I won't be able to stop myself from yelling at them. I believe him. From his expression, it feels like he's about to yell at me instead. Well, maybe they need to be yelled at a little bit. Maybe they deserve it. No! The volume of his voice rises, the tone sharpening to a lethal point. I know Tom Robinson. I know what kind of person he is. That would only make him double down. In fact, that's exactly what he's waiting for. The moment I start shouting at him, he'll take it as proof that he was right all along. Theo begins to tap his foot loudly on the floor with such force that the table begins to shiver slightly. I rack my brain, trying to think of something else to suggest. I want to help, but I don't want to make him more upset. Well, what if we brought her here? I mean, I don't want to invite people into your house without your permission, but... Theo raises a paw and cuts me off sharply. You don't understand. Okay. I physically shrink into my chair, eyes dropping down into my steaming coffee. Even on her best days, I'm not sure we could get her up this street, not with this much snow. And she's been sitting in that fucking house for 3 days. He's shouting now. The Robinsons live across the goddamn street. Given her condition, it'll be a miracle if we can even get her there, and they won't open the fucking door. On the last word, he slams the table with the pot, and some lukewarm coffee splashes out of the forgotten mug. Okay, at this point, I'd call the fucking cops. Not at Theo, though. I'd call the fucking police. The room is very silent now. The kind of silence that only makes itself known after the shattering noise. Theo's gaze shifts down to his brown-splattered paw. His expression curdles into a mix of emotions I can't quite place. I worry if I open my mouth even to breathe, I might cry. But I have to say something. Theo, why don't let me talk to them? His voice almost makes me jump. A torrent of guilt spikes through me, though I'm not fully sure why. Rofi stands in the doorway to the kitchen, tucked once again in his red sweater, fur messed up and spiky from sleep. Persuasion is one of the things you learn working in the emergency department. Serious Rofi is back in full force, face in thin, tight lines, eyes full of calculations. And if they hear the same thing from multiple neighbors, it might convince them. I turn back to Theo, holding my breath. Finally find my voice. You look like you've been worrying about this all night. Let us take care of things from here, okay? Theo, you're clearly exhausted. We will let you know as soon as we have a plan, okay? We're going to get her out of there, I promise. The moment that passed is one of the longest and quietest of my life. Okay. Honestly, fuck the noise, okay? Someone's life is on the line. The word comes out in a sigh, some of the tension escaping along with his breath. I will leave it to you two. He slides the phone across the table towards me, touching it gingerly, as if it were a mildly dangerous animal. We'll keep you updated, Theo. Please, take a moment to rest. The fox nods once and heads towards the door, swaying slightly. He stops briefly in the doorframe and turns back to us, eyes not quite meeting ours. The code is 061710. Thanks, you two. I really appreciate this. And then he's gone, and it's just me and Rofi in the kitchen. I found myself avoiding his gaze, and pondering a familiar question. Are you mad at me? Guess you can't just have a quiet morning around here, huh? No, apparently not. His voice is soft and welcoming, if rough from sleep. I figured you might be down here getting water or something. But then I heard Theo from the stairwell. Yeah, I was planning on getting some coffee and coming back up, but was I? Is that true? But duty calls, right? Right. I can feel his eyes searching me, assessing my condition. I can do most of the talking if you like. I would appreciate that. Honestly, my nerves are still frayed from the dream, and Theo's outburst certainly hadn't helped. Rofi finds a text conversation with the Robinsons and hits the call button. Puts it on speaker and sets the phone back down on the table. It rings. And rings. Until they finally answer. Yes. A gruff male voice, halfway to angry already. Good morning, sir. This is Rofi and Leo, two of your neighbors, calling from Theo's phone. Rofi's voice is clean, clipped, and professional. He's clearly done this many times. I know you and Theo have been in touch regarding the woman in number 27. He waits for a response. We have, yes. Grudging, non-committal, approaching annoyed. Excellent. I hope you'll pardon my interrupting your low-text conversation, but as a trained emergency responder from our local ED, I thought I'd step in and give my opinion. A physician assistant's opinion. Let's last few sentences hang in the air for just a moment before continuing. As I'm sure you're aware, the temperature outside is well below freezing even without wind chill. Number 27 has been without electricity for 3 days now. Realistically, the temperature inside that apartment is likely approaching the temperature outside. The woman inside is at high risk for hypothermia and frostbite at the very least. At worst, she may not survive another day. With all of this in mind, I would like to ask you a favor. Would you be willing to let her stay with you for a few days until the power comes back on? Static. I understand that Theo has already asked you this favor, but I felt it might help to hear it again from a medical professional. Oh, he is locked the fuck in. He stresses the last 2 words, arms now tightly crossed over his chest. Is she really as bad as all that? Annoyance again tinged with what could be concern. Rofi rolls his eyes sharply, but his voice remains steady. Yes, sir, I'm afraid so. I have performed many death exams in the emergency department, and I would prefer to not have to do that if we check in on her tomorrow. And she's still at her place. Think of Rofi leaning over a stiff frozen body still propped upright in a chair. My stomach drops out from under me. The thought of Rofi touching a corpse feels somehow wrong. Something so warm and something so terribly cold. Not to mention the possible legal fallout between her family and any individuals involved. We see lots of that in the ER too. Legal battles that extend months on end, even if one party is clearly in the right. More staticky silence. Well, alright, if you really think it's necessary. Most reluctant acceptance I have ever heard in my life. My wife hasn't had any time to tidy up, so... Oh, that's quite alright, sir. Rofi cuts him off and begins rattling off a list. As long as there's somewhere comfortable for her to sit and some blankets to wrap her in, I'm sure she'll be cold. Perhaps a warm drink? If you have a fireplace and it isn't already on, I'd suggest lighting it. Well, hold on now, We'll start preparing to head over to number 27 right now. I'll be in touch with you if you need anything else. Please do remember that time is of the essence here. Well, at least tell me when you're expecting to bring her over. Like I just said, sir, we'll be over as soon as possible. Likely within the hour. Please do your best to be ready for us. Now, before I hang up, do you have any other questions regarding preparations for her care? Well, no. I suppose not. Alright, good. We'll see you soon, sir. Thank you. Rofi hangs up the call with a decisive motion and sighs deeply, rubbing his eyes with both paws. Wow. Rofi, that was seriously impressive. He laughs a bit wryly without covering his eyes. Practice? Alright, we better start getting ready. Right. Take one last fortifying swig of my coffee and stand. I think I'll start waking the other. We might need all hands on deck for this one. Sounds like a plan. I'll go update Theo. Great, grab your warmest clothes and we'll meet at the front door in 5. I nod and walk briskly into the living room. I find Theo sitting on the couch by the fire, leaning forward, paws clasped in front of him. Theo, good news, they agreed. That easy, huh? Guess all they had to do was hear it from someone besides me. Well, Rofi is a PA. He knows how to handle situations like these. Theo hesitates then nods, his expression softening somewhat. Fair enough. Good that he's here then. Let's help Rofi wake the others and then we can head out. With only the slightest bit of difficulty, we get everybody out of bed and downstairs in just a few minutes. Do not let the lizard boy out. Not the dinosaur. Do not let the dinosaur out. He might die. Oh no, that absolutely sounded like blackmail. And I was thinking, Rofi, you might have to blackmail his ass. Do not let Ollie out. Just let him stay inside and be silly. Give him blankets and silly. The mood is muted due to the early hour, but tightly focused. All of us are clearly ready to do what needs to be done. Okay, everyone, have your phones? We all nod. I'm guessing we'll need shovels once we get there. I have 2 sitting outside. They're plastic, but the metal ones are all in the garage and we don't have time to dig them out. I have a metal one at my place. So do I. Great. You 2 go fetch those. Stick together. You never know what could happen in weather like this. Meet us at 27 as soon as you can. Got it. Sure. Theo nods once again and opens the door, ushering us into the bitterly blasting wind. Ooh. It feels colder than ever before. As I take the door from Theo to let everybody out, I see Ollie shiver and pull his coat tighter around himself. Hunter gives me a smile and a nod, taking the door and turn from me. File out onto what we think is the covered sidewalk. Artemis and Hunter head immediately for their houses, and Theo and I grab the shovels laying right next to the porch. The sheer volume of the snow is almost unbelievable. Theo and Hunter's shoveling work from the previous day is basically unnoticeable. When I beheld it all 3 days ago, I felt wonder. Now I only feel fear and apprehension. The fierce wind whips the snow into uneven piles. Paths close to walls are the worst, with miniature hills heaped halfway up the sides of the houses. Cars, unfortunately enough to be left out on the street, are almost completely hidden. Vague shapes in the expanse of white, punctuated by a side mirror on the reflection of an exposed headlight. Nobody will be driving anywhere for quite a while. We trudge alongside in a single file, Theo at the vanguard, the rest of us following the path he makes. He does his best to pick the shallowest points where the snow is only knee-height at most. Finally, we arrive at number 27, the wind tearing at our coats. Theo gestures towards a narrow passage leading to the backyard of the house. He shouts to make sure himself heard over the tempest. Her apartment is back there. She lives in the back half of the house, and the folks in the front are out of town.
So we can't go through the front?
Theo shakes his head. I already tried. Her door's in the backyard. This is going to be trickier than I thought. Not only do the snow pile constricts the already narrow pathway, but the uphill entrance to said pathway is mostly blocked by a submerged car. How the fuck are we going to do this? Theo's head and ears start swiveling back and forth, taking in the scene. I can almost hear the gears turning in his brain. He gestures for all of us to huddle up. Okay, she can't walk in this, and she'll never get down the driveway, let alone across the street. I'll have to carry her out, but I don't want to risk that until we've cleared the path a little. Theo's eyes flick to the house and then to Rofi. Rofi, think you'd better be the one to check on her. I'll come with you to make sure she opens up, but after that I'm leaving her to you, okay? Okay. His voice is steady, but I've known him too long to be fooled. Rofi is incredibly nervous. Almost sweating despite the cold. Good. I'm counting on you, Rofi. I know. After a long moment of eye contact, Theo turns to me and Ollie. You two start shoveling. We'll need as much of this driveway cleared as possible. If we can get her keys and get the car out of the way, that's even better. Even if we have to put it in neutral and push it, every bit of space helps. I nod, glad to receive clear, direct instructions. Tell the other two the plan once they get here. Have them start clearing a path across the street to the Robinsons. Once I get you inside, Rofi, I'll be going across the street as well. I need to make sure Tom has everything ready. And maybe I can even get him off his ass to help shovel, though I doubt it. As soon as you've cleared a good enough path, I'm carrying her out, no matter what she says. Everyone clear on their jobs?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Rofi doesn't sound quite sure. Yes. Then let's get started. Clock's ticking. Ollie and I immediately dig into the driveway, but I keep one eye focused on Theo and Rofi. The two of them sidle around the car, Theo doing his best to clear a path through the small space between it and the house. Rofi looks back at me once, then turns away once he realizes I'm already looking at him. They vanish into the backyard, and I turn my full attention to shoveling. Despite his aversion to the cold, Ollie's good with the shovel, clearly an old hand at this. He and I managed to clear most of the bottom half of the driveway when Artemis and Hunter arrive, carrying stout metal shovels on their shoulders. Where are we dropping, boys? You did not just say that. Theo needs us to clear the driveway so we can maybe move the car, and then a decent path across the street to number 30. I indicate the well-lit house across the street. He's going to carry her out, so... Say no more! Hunter immediately takes to shoveling with enthusiasm, and Artemis quickly follows, cutting efficiently across the snow-choked street. At that moment, Theo reemerges from behind the car and begins making his way to number 30, pausing only to slap Hunter on the back and give Artemis a nod. Feel a tug on my sleeve.
Hey, Leo? I don't want to tell you what to do, but if you wanted to go inside and help Rofi, the three of us have it covered out here.
I blink, surprised, shovel halfway stuck in the snow.
It's just, I could tell he was pretty nervous about having to handle her alone, and you kept looking at him, so I figured...
honestly, yes. The moment Ollie offered me the possibility became the only thing I wanted. Are you sure it'll be alright, just the three of you?
We're better off out here than he is in there. I think you could use another set of paws at the very least.
I heave the last heap of snow off to the side and jam my shovel up right into it. Thanks, Ollie.
Of course, just go.
With one more thankful nod, I start trudging towards the house. All of a sudden, the urgency hiding just below the surface breaks through, and I find myself almost racing through the snowbanks and through the rickety old gate. There's the door, just ahead. Turn the handle with an unwelcoming squeak and force my way inside. Oh god. The combined stench of cigarettes and mildew hits me like a wall. Deep breaths, Leo. I swallow a bit of hacking, smoke-choked coughs. Okay, maybe shallow breaths are best. Make my way through the small entryway and into the living room. As I enter, a gruff, hoarse voice greets me.
Who's this?
Spot the two of them immediately. The old woman glares at me from her ancient armchair. Thin, pale, and trembling, one milky eye staring off past me into forever. Rofi turns to me with something approaching full-blown panic, contained only by his professional demeanor. Diana, this is my friend Leo. He's here to help. In fact, he arrived just in time.
More help? Not sure how much more help I can take right about now.
I promise we're doing our best to get you somewhere warm.
Your best, huh?
She laughs to sound like a marble on a cheese grater. Leo, can I talk with you for a moment?
Listen here, pup. If you're gonna talk about me, you might as well do it right in front of me.
I'm glad I came in here when I did. The vibes in here are absolutely rancid. Somehow maintaining his calm, Rofi turns fully to me. I'm very concerned for her. She's been sitting here drinking for days. The old woman scoffs loudly, interrupting him. Rofi presses on. I was just in the middle of speaking to her when... Diana, do you mind showing Leo your hand? She moves her thin arm from her pocket.
You still worried about this?
Her bony hand jerks rhythmically back and forth, back and forth. This started happening. She stuffs her jittery hand back out of sight with a dismissive huff. I don't know if this is a tremor, some kind of weird Parkinson's thing, or... Realize my question falls on deaf ears. The dog is clearly deep in thought. As I observe his expression, echoes of my incident yesterday sends a chill through my spine and down to my foot paw. Rofi? Yes, sorry. Turns back to address the frail lady. Diana, has this kind of movement ever happened before?
Well, like, am I laugh? Hell, I probably live 4 times as long as you. Expect me to remember everything?
I'm missing a beat. Rofi continues his line of questioning, trying to specify. Have you ever noticed your arm shaking like this? Maybe you were diagnosed with a movement disorder at some point in your life. She ignores him, her shaking hand now occupied with digging around underneath their chair cushion. Diana, I need you to work with me. Do you have any medical conditions that you're aware of? She conjures a beaten-up old flask from the chair and knocks it back before tossing it on the floor, empty. Rofi keeps his eyes on her, unaffected by her behavior.
I've got diabetes.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Rofi nods and pulls me aside. I really doubt her medical history is that clean, but we'll work with what we have. I think this could be some kind of diabetic exacerbation. Especially if all she's been consuming is alcohol. But I'm still hopeful it's just a benign movement disorder. Or, then again, it could be more sinister. Maybe medication-induced? I'd need to see what she's taking. Actually, now that I think about it, if she's been drinking a while, it could also be some sort of acute liver issue. Like hepatic encephalitis? But then, if that were the case, the esterixis would present blatantly. I give him a blank stare as he trails off. Okay. What's the plan? Sorry, I'll try to curb the jargon. I think the first step here is to get a blood glucose level. It'll be quick and will help me rule out causes for what's happening. Rofi looks at me, seemingly expecting a response. I blink back at him, thoroughly unsure of what to say. Sure, that sounds good to me. You're the doctor here, after all. The moment the words leave my mouth, I regret it. Rofi visibly flinches, and the old woman scoffs again, inserting herself into the conversation like a knife through flesh.
No, he is not. He was very clear about that when he walked in.
Trays a pitch of her voice, poorly miming the dog.
Oh, no, ma'am. I'm just a physician's assistant. Great. Even here on my supposed deathbed, I can't get a real doctor. How old are you, anyway?
26, but that shouldn't matter to you.
You don't look any older than 20, and they gave you a medical degree?
The dog exhales, clearly trying to let her words roll off his fur before directing his attention back to me. She has diabetes, so she should have a monitor and needles lying around. Would you be okay to start looking for those things? Yeah, I think so. What does a monitor look like? Rofi pulls out his phone and shows me a few images. I'm honestly amazed she's this lucid. Diana calls from the couch.
I'm old, but I'm not deaf. They not teach you manners in medical school?
Encephalitis. Thank you, Raj. Rofi winces but doesn't take the bait. Okay, why don't you go ahead and look for those supplies? I'll try to continue my workup. We'll turn around and face her, and right as we prepare to split off, he freezes. It doesn't take long for me to figure out why. In the few minutes we took our eyes off of Diana, the jerking movement spread to her arm. We look at each other, and I see a new emotion in his eyes. Fear. Diana? His voice breaks. Rofi clears his throat and tries again. Diana, it looks like the movements are progressing up your arm. Is it okay if I try to suppress them?
Knock yourself out. If I don't knock you out first.
Her immediate assent surprises me. Maybe she's finally starting to realize the gravity of her situation. Rofi kneels next to her and presses his paws against her arm, but the tremors don't stop. He tries for a few more seconds and gets back up. Diana, can you still hear me? All she does is glare at him, but she clearly can. Rofi and I make eye contact again and start to see panic set in. Theo, I think she might be having a focal seizure. It's a kind of seizure that can start in one place and spread to the rest of your body. I need you to grab the glucose monitor and... As if it couldn't get more chaotic, Theo interrupts the disaster in motion by banging the door open and clomping inside. His eyes are steely and wild as his hackles are clearly raised. Alright, I'm ready to go. His voice has a harsh, husky quality to it, as if he just finished yelling. Takes a quick look at the scene, at the old woman still in her slippers, and realizes that we are, in fact, not ready to go. His brow furrows more deeply. What's the problem? Rofi speaks in a low tone, though I can't tell if it's to keep Diane out of the loop or to try and calm Theo. Theo, Theodore, who is this child? You said he was a doctor. So much for keeping her out of the loop. No, I didn't. I said he was like a doctor.
Unbelievable.
Theo ignores her and turns to Rofi again, taking another step into the room, tracking huge piles of snow on the ancient carpet. Rofi, what's going on? The Robinsons are ready. Theo's tone catches me off guard and clearly does the same to Rofi. The dog starts stumbling over his words, gesturing alternatively at himself, me, and Diana. I understand. I'm trying to get a finger stick because I'm concerned for... Is this absolutely necessary? Because we don't have time for anything that isn't absolutely necessary. Tom gave me a dump truck's worth of shit just now. I want to get her across the street before he changes his mind again. Theo pipes up, staunchly refusing to be left out.
What in the hell did you bother Tom for? That rat bastard's always hated me.
Theo ignores her, directing his gaze and his words only at Rofi. So unless you've got a real reason for the delay, I'm taking her now. Then another first. Something clicks in Rofi and his voice rings out sharp and deliberate as a scalpel. Well then, Theo, why don't you tell me why her arm is shaking like that? I'll be right back. Okay, real quick, Raj, can you explain what's going on? Because I have no clue what the fuck's going on. And I'm going to assume that you're the medical expert here, so can you explain, please? Only if you want to. Okay. Okay, thank you. Low blood sugar can cause a seizure, though it is usually a medium full-body seizures. Okay, so she's having a seizure. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. We very much appreciate you. He gestures exasperatedly towards Diana's worsening arm tremor. Theo's eyes flick toward Diana, then back to Rofi. I am trying to figure the situation out, but I can't when I'm being constantly interrupted. Alright then. Theo interrupts. Figure it out. Diana, where's your glucose monitor? The one you used to check your sugar for your diabetes. She eyes Rofi with explicit hostility.
I don't know. Damn thing hardly ever works anymore.
Theo interrupts again, scowling. Where is it, Diana? She scowls right back.
Don't you dare barge into my house and take that tone with me. I had to guess it's probably with the rest of my medical shit in the bathroom or the kitchen, maybe.
He opens his mouth to retort, but Rofi quickly takes the reins back from him. Okay, Leo, look for a monitor. Theo, I need you to grab anything with sugar in it. Check her fridge for juice. Also, Leo, if she has any sleeping medication like a benzo, grab that too. What is... Diazepam. Lorazepam. Anything that ends in Pam. It'll be a bottle of pills. They aren't the priority, but I may need them if she doesn't stop seizing. I need everything else now. Theo interjects, saving me from having to ask her any more follow-up questions. I know what those look like, Leo. I'll look for them. Rofi just nods, dismissing us both before redirecting his attention to Diana. I'm used to seeing Theo take a supportive role in a crisis, and from the expression on his face, neither is he. But I'm glad to see him settle into it. Whether he realized it or not, he was making things worse. Okay, Diana, try to stay awake and focus on my voice. I'm going to ask you a few questions, alright? Fox brushes past both of us, and I take that as my cue to exit too, leaving the dog to fend for himself with the old sheep. After extricating myself from the scene, I quickly locate and stumble into the bathroom. Throw the medicine cabinet open and surprisingly find exactly what I'm looking for. The monitor and a ripped open plastic package labeled finger sticks. In fact, half of the finger sticks spill out into the sink when I open the door, the result of the open package being shoved violently into the overflowing cabinet. Really can't worry about that right now. I make my way back to the living room. Rofi still kneeling and holding Diana's arm as it repeatedly seizes. Theo is already back, sitting on the floor, clutching a bottle of pills in one paw and several juice boxes in the other. Damn, how fast did Theo move and that he beat me back here? Rofi's ear perks up as he hears me re-enter the room. Good. Pass the supplies here. Practically snatches the monitor and finger sticks out of my paw and sets them on the floor. Okay, Diana, I'm going to take your blood sugar. Gently grips her non-seizing arm. Just a little prick, sorry. She winces. Rofi used one of the finger stick needles to draw a drop of blood. Carefully holds her arm as he turns around. Alright, I need the reading strip now. Free staring at Rofi's outstretched paw. Is he talking to me? He never mentioned reading strips, did he? Dog scans what I've brought him and realizes. It's not here. I can see frustration start to bubble up in him, though he does well to keep it out of his tone. Leo, go back to where you found the monitor and look for the reading strips. They should be in a package. His expression, though, isn't as convincing. I didn't think those warm blue eyes were capable of turning as cold and hollow as he were right now. Yeah, sorry. I scamper out of the living room again, berating myself for being useless. As I throw the bathroom cabinet open once more, I quickly spot the strip sitting neatly in a cup a few shelves down from the monitor spot. I extricate the cup, knocking a few more bottles into the already junk-filled sink. Still don't have time to worry about that. Hear yelling from the other room, Diana's voice. Grab them and speed back to Rofi, who seems even more frustrated now.
Babyface kid who stabbed me and can't even tell me what's wrong. I'll sue you for this, I swear to God.
Okay, give it a rest, Diana. How many times have you threatened to sue me? I'm still waiting on that summons. Amazingly, that coaxes out something like a laugh.
Don't get cocky, Whelp. I'll see you in court yet for what you did to my boiler.
Oh, fuck. Rofi takes the strips from me wordlessly, turning back to the angry sheep. Diana, I'm going to have to re-prick you. All trace of amusement vanishes.
For fuck's sake, again, are you doing sticking needles in my...
And I need to do it again because you yanked your arm away from me and lost the blood I was going to test. His voice is slightly raised, patience clearly wearing thin. Now, if you'd like me to figure out what's going on, he glares at her, and not have me stick you a third time, I need you to work with me here. Diana shoots a venomous look at the dog but stays quiet. He sets the monitor next to her and then sticks her again. Okay, stay still. Quickly captures the drop of blood with a paper strip, then inserts it into the machine. Seconds tick by like eternities, and then 20. Bingo. Hypoglycemic. Theo, clearly following Rofi more than I am, holds up an open juice box. Here, Diana, drink this. Holds the straw up to her mouth and she starts sipping it. My eyes can't help but stick to the expiration date printed on the back. 3 months ago. Can't really about that right now either. Dog explains to us as she finishes the juice box, arm still shaking aggressively. Severe low blood sugar can trigger seizure activity in the brain. It's one of the first things we test when a seizure happens because it's easily fixed. And those kinds of seizures tend to respond really quickly to sugar. Continues holding the sheep's arm. The movements should start to slow down soon. Diana, are you feeling any better? Through gritted teeth, she gets out a response.
No. Should have called the damn hospital.
I remember you telling me not to. Let's just wait a little while longer. Here, have another juice box. You should start responding soon. All eyes are on Diana now. Everyone waiting with bated breath as she finishes the second box. Rofi's eyes are glued to the clock hanging on her while paws still in Diana's seizing arm. Rofi? Doesn't hear me, though. We're next to each other. Rofi, what? Theo, what meds did you grab? Theo, what meds did you grab? Fox startles, clearly having wandered off into his own thoughts. It's diazepam. Dosage? Theo fiddles with the box. 1 milligram. Give me 2, please. Dog holds out his paw and retrieves the medication. Diana, if your arm continues shaking for another minute, I'm going to have you take your sleeping medication. It should help, but it'll also make you really drowsy. Nothing, Rummer, just a look that could freeze lava. Next minute crawls slower than ever, every single tick of the second hand marked by Rofi's flinting eyes. Then he reaches for more juice, leaving her arm to shake. I need to administer this. Diana, can you take these meds? She reaches out with her good arm and starts to grab the pills. Wait! Theo reaches out physically and stops her. Think they're calming down. Hold on just a minute, Diana. Rofi freezes, then directs his attention back to her arm. Even to my untrained eye, it looks improved, just a small tremor remains. Makes eye contact with the old ew. Do you feel better, Diana? Are you feeling okay?
Sure, maybe, I guess, a little.
We remain silent, completely unconvinced.
Yes, alright, yes, I feel better.
Good. Rofi slips the meds back into the bottle with a clatter. I'm sorry, Theo, you're right. The improvement is marked.
Maybe I should take the meds anyway?
I can see her eyeing the bottle. No, I'd rather not administer them to you if you don't have to. You've been drinking quite a lot. She bristles, though clearly some of the fight has left her after the episode.
And? I've been drinking longer than you've been alive.
Rofi hesitates. Do you often take these while under the influence?
Like I said, I'm not some idiot child. I know my limits.
Okay, never mind. She is as venomous as ever. Rofi sighs softly and slips the benzos into his pocket. Okay, well, we can talk about that later. Your seizures seem to have subsided, at least. Theo clears his throat. In that case, we need to prepare to head out. The Robinsons are waiting. Alright, I'm going to stay here with you, Diana.
What a treat.
Leo, can you gather up her medical stuff? Yeah, I'm on it.
You there, Spotty, hold on a moment.
She snaps at me. Spotty?
There's a breaded purse on my nightstand that I need.
Only if it's small. We can always come back to get whatever else you need later. I nod at Theo and head out. Old lady's nightstand is a mess of choked ashtrays and moldy old cups. Purse sits proudly in the center, half open, a mostly empty pack of cigarettes clearly visible inside. Ah, this is why she needed it. Whatever gets her out the door. Grab the bag, more than happy to leave the stinking cluttered bedroom. When I return to the living room, the other two have already gotten Diana on her slippered feet. You really don't have any other shoes?
No, without holes. It's fine, I got no feeling in my feet anyway.
They'll do. She won't have to set foot in the snow.
What do you mean?
We've been over this, Diana. I'm carrying you.
Like hell you are.
You can hardly stand. Clearly even Rofi's monumental patience is starting to wear thin. There's feet of snow out there and a gust of wind could knock you over. Theo is going to carry you, and the more you struggle and argue, the more likely he is to drop you. So if you don't want to be dropped...
Shut my mouth, huh? That's what you're telling me?
She cackles, and for whatever reason, her eye zeroes in on me.
Do yourself a favor, kid. Don't get old. When you reach my age, you don't got no choices anymore. Doesn't matter what you want, doesn't matter how you feel. Can't even freeze to death in your own home.
No, I'm afraid not. Rofi interjects gently. Not while we're around. She laughs again.
Well then, you may as well get on with it. Take what's left of my dignity. See if I give a shit.
You always have to be so dramatic, Diana. She delivers Theo another steel-cutting look.
That's fucking hilarious coming from you, Theodore Donovan. You better not drop me. I promise this time I really will see you in court.
Leo, could you get the door for us? Of course. I hold the door open, wind tearing new breath into the musty apartment, as Theo bends down and scoops up the old woman with surprising ease. She must weigh almost nothing. Here, Theo, right this way. Try to clear more of a path for you. Together we guide Theo outside and around the house. The driveway is mostly clear, courtesy of Hunter, Artemis, and Ollie, who start to work twice as hard shoveling when they see us. I nod once at Ollie and thanks. He smiles. Theo takes every step with diligence and heavy certainty, eyes and limbs locked in tight focus. As he passes me, I sneak a glance at Diana. The old sheep looks smaller than ever, with her slight clothes pulled tightly around her, her one good eye buried in Theo's chest. Her milky right eye stares upwards into the yellowing dawn. Seeing what, I could not say. At the head of the procession is Rofi, checking every step, leading Theo forward while keeping a close eye on his patient. After a collection of tense four-overs, Theo mounts the steps of number 30 and Rofi pulls the door open. Wordlessly, I follow them into the warmth of the house. Theo immediately strides over to a plush sofa and deposits Diana onto a cushioned seat. He kneels in front of her, fussing with her jacket and making sure she's comfortable. There you go, Diana, we've arrived. He attempts a well-worn smile. Thank you for flying Theo Airlines.
Terrible in-flight service. Not even a drink menu.
I spot Rofi in what looks like the kitchen doorway, talking in hushed tones with two groundhogs. Robinsons, I presume. Tom looks even angrier in person. A dipped, constantly furrowed brow and a tense, forward-leaning posture as if at any moment he might lunge. Seems to be barely listening to Rofi, nodding absentmindedly while keeping his beady eyes fixed on Diana and Theo. The woman standing slightly behind him wears an entirely different demeanor, her entire body tucked tightly inward. Her eyes make constant little circuits of the room, almost as if she were planning the best route to escape. Sidle my way over to them, ready to give Rofi support if needed. The dog is fully locked in now, speaking in a precise robotic efficiency. This is her medical bag. It has everything she needs to monitor her sugar. She just had a hypoglycemic seizure before we brought her over here, so it'd be best to keep a close eye on her sugar levels for the next few hours.
Now hold on just a minute.
The husband holds out a paw, taking a step forward into Rofi's space.
A seizure? You can't leave her here if she's gonna start seizing again. Shouldn't you be calling the hospital, emergency services, somebody else?
I intend to, just as soon as I finish briefing you on her condition. I would absolutely take her to the hospital if I had any faith I could actually transport her. Emergency services might be able to get her there, but they are doubtlessly stretched thin at the moment. She is no longer in any immediate danger, so they may not come at all. It would be a much worse situation if they got stuck either on the way here or to the hospital. I can see Tom's brain churning, trying to find holes in Rofi's logic.
Alright, so when she starts convulsing, what exactly do you expect me to do?
Rofi clearly bites back a retort. She's not likely to, as long as she keeps her sugars up. That's what the monitor and test strips are for. We brought juice as well, though she should probably eat some real food before long. I have no idea when her last meal was.
Well, we only got so much here, it's not as if we can go grocery shopping right now.
His wife's eyes flick over to him, an inscrutable expression on her face. Look past the three of them into the kitchen, noting an open pantry door with a healthy stockpile of dry and canned food inside. I understand. We can bring food and other supplies over. Theo joins us then. ignoring the Robinsons and speaking pointedly at Rofi. Rofi, she's all settled and I'm going back to grab some clothes and other things she asked for. Okay, great. Rofi turns back to the couple. We'll be back to check up on her periodically, so...
You're not seriously going to just dump her here and leave, are you?
Tom's voice rises in incredulity.
You're the only doctor here.
Diana's laugh cuts him from the couch.
No such luck, Tom. No such luck. The pup's an assistant doctor. Probably just hands the doc his tools or something.
Tom turns back to Rofi in indignant disbelief and takes another step forward.
An assistant?
Well...
Oh, not this again.
Theo takes a step forward himself, so he and Tom are almost nose to nose. Mrs. Robinson takes a step backward, paws flying to her necklace, but the much shorter man stands his ground, staring petulantly up at Theo.
Tom, what fucking difference does it make? Right now, as far as we're concerned, he's the only doctor in the world. Diana is here now, on your couch, so the ball's in your court. If you're not gonna kick her out in the snow, then you better just shut up and listen to what Rofi tells you.
He turns on his heel. I'll be back with those clothes. Before anyone can reply, Theo stomps out the front and slams the door.
I don't believe this.
Tom sighs, shaking his head disapprovingly.
He's always been like this, you know. Foul-mouthed and impatient.
Speaks with the wholly practiced tone, somewhere between false pity and sneering self-satisfaction. Makes me want to punch him. Rofi exhales quietly, then re-enters the conversation. I wasn't suggesting that we just leave her here. I don't mind staying for a few hours to keep an eye on her sugars. It's probably the best to monitor her post-seizure anyway. Rofi's a braver man than I, volunteering to spend any more time in this house than strictly necessary. I may need an extra paw from time to time, so I'll stay too. I interject before Tom can even open his mouth. Guess I'm braver than I thought. Rofi turns to me in surprise, and then gratitude and relief. Please do. Nurse Leo reporting in. No one laughs. I briefly consider running into traffic. Then I remember there isn't any.
Yes, I think it makes sense for you to look after. You know what to look for after all.
Rofi and I both stare at him for a long moment, confused by his quick 180. But when we agreed to do all the work, he decides he trusts Rofi completely.
Well,
Tom sighs again and turns to his wife for the first time.
I suppose breakfast is in order, eh?
She smiles slightly.
Yes, I suppose it is.
Bring my coffee up to the office when you have a moment. Davis should be awake by now, and I've got to talk to him about the Histon job. Damn blizzard's gonna set us back months.
Having apparently forgotten us, Tom turns and walks out of the room like a star actor leaving the set. Mrs. Robinson waits until his clomping feet finish climbing the stairs, and a door somewhere in the house clicks shut. Then she turns to us, her voice quiet and gentle. You'll have to excuse me, but breakfast will make itself. She hesitates, one paw working her pearl necklace like a rosary. Do you boys drink coffee? I can bring you each a cup. Rofi examines her closely for a moment before politely shaking his head. No, but thank you, ma'am. Don't worry about us. Oh yeah, trying to catch her skittering eyes. You look like you have enough to worry about. We'll be fine. She nods, quick jerky motion, gives that same slight smile as before, and quickly steps into the kitchen out of sight. Only then do I realize I forgot to ask her name. Rofi and I exchange a look. I can tell we both have a lot on our minds. He opens his mouth as if to start bridging that gap when Diana calls out from the couch.
Hey, Spotty! Tofu! Help me plug this damn thing in, will ya?
The old sheep is struggling to untangle her phone charger. Duty calls. And it has a loud, insistent voice. Next few hours aren't relaxing by any stretch of the imagination, but they pass, thankfully without further incident. Rofi makes a quick call to EMS and they tell him exactly what he expected to hear. Since she's currently stable and he is there with her, there is nothing else to be done at the moment. Not with half the city shut down. Theo returns at some point, bearing smoke-smelling bags of clothes and toiletries and the like. He and Rofi speak in quiet, polite tones to one another, not quite meeting each other's eyes. He doesn't stay long. Just existing in this house seems to make him twitch. And the house seems calmer when he's gone. The entire time, despite his serious lack of sleep, Rofi stays awake and focused on Diana. He and I both sit on the floor next to the couch. His eyes stay glued to her arms, as if expecting another seizure to start. I don't fare nearly as well. I fall victim to a number of impromptu naps. Each time I startle awake to find Rofi either right next to me or somewhere else nearby. Checking on Diana, fetching something for her, stretching his legs. The old ewe spends most of the time on her phone, glaring down at it as if it were an unexpected bill.
Hey, Spotty! What's a 6-letter word for satirical or something that happens contrary to expectations?
I blink groggily at her a few times, not understanding. She must be doing a crossword puzzle. Guess she's gotten over her ordeal. Maybe these kinds of attacks aren't uncommon for her?
Starts with I.
Ironic.
Huh.
Her eyes wander to the ornate cross on the wall, and then the explicitly welcoming welcome mat. She laughs and resumes jabbing at her phone with a bony finger. At some point, Tom's wife brings warm pancakes and strawberries for us and Diana. The sheep takes her plate and starts eating almost immediately, like she had forgotten what food tasted like. Here, I brought extra in case the two of you were hungry. She works out her necklace some more. Hope the berries are all right. They're obviously not in season. So, I'm sure it's all lovely, ma'am. Thank you. I reply quickly, still struggling to catch her eyes. I'm Leo, by the way, and this is Rofi. Rofi smiles up at her and nods before turning back to his patient. Elizabeth. But you can call me Beth if you like. Welcome to our home. She welcomes us with a complex mix of emotions, genuine yet hesitant and regretful, almost like an apology. Diana doesn't say a word, still solely focused on eating. Thank you very much for letting us stay here. Beth smiles, a bit wider this time, and drifts back to the kitchen. More time passes. Work on my plate slowly. Rofi barely touches his. Every once in a while, Beth rejoins us in the living room. Still timid, but noticeably less so. She even breaks Rofi out of his trance briefly, asking him about the finger sticks and how often Diana's sugar needs to be checked, meticulously copying his instructions in perfect cursive letters. She really does seem to care. In stark noticeable contrast to her husband, I see nothing more of Tom. Every once in a while I hear snippets of his raised voice, presumably on the phone, talking numbers and logistics and who's in charge, and who's to blame. What's their story like, I wonder? What brought Tom and Beth Robinson together? Does anyone know what all's in this build? What'd you send, Moonlight? Well, then we're probably going to do it all tonight because I want to start Infinite Space tomorrow. After eating, my yawns become wider, my dips into sleep more frequent. At some point, I feel someone shaking me gently. I blink, letting out a yawn. Looking to my side, I notice Rofi's absence quickly, then look up to see Theo. Hey, Leo, it's been a number of hours. Where did Rofi go? Stumble upright, almost stepping on my tail. Don't worry, he's headed back to mine now. Medically cleared Diana and all that. I glance at the sheep, conked out and snoring softly in her seat, plugged-in phone slipping out of her hands into her lap. Why didn't Rofi wake me? Could have walked back together.
Do you think you're gonna head back too?
I get up and stretch. Yeah, I think so. Thanks for coming to get us, Theo.
Of course, the storm looks like it's calmed down for the day. Or at least for now.
I can walk with you anyway if you'd like. Oh, you're not coming back?
Not yet. Still got a few more things to sort out with other folks before I call it a day.
I raise an eyebrow, but he clarifies.
No one in this house, at least for now.
Alright, in that case I can make it back on my own. Theo nods, and after I bundle up again, moves to get the door. He hesitates upon the doorknob, thoughts clearly roiling behind his eyes. Don't worry about it, Theo. It's been a stressful morning for all of us. At least it's over now. Surprise, and then gratitude.
Thank you, Leo. Get back safely, okay?
I smile at him. You too, Theo. Don't stay out too long. The trip back to Theo's house is thankfully uneventful. The fox was right. It feels uncharacteristically calm outside, especially compared to this morning. The landscape was no clearer, but I could make out my destination in the distance. Surprisingly, some of our paw prints from earlier had survived, and before long I found myself stepping through Theo's front door.
Leo, I was wondering when you get back. Is everything alright out there?
He ushers me in as we talk. Yeah, is Rofi back?
Yes, he is. He said he was really tired, but not much else. He worried me a little, honestly. Did a lot happen when you were at Diana's house?
Yeah, it was pure chaos for a moment. She was yelling, Theo was yelling, she was having a seizure. I paused, noticing the raptor's concerned eyes. We got through it and everyone is okay. He nods. Is he in his room now?
Yes, I think he might need a little time on his own. That's the vibe I got from him earlier, at least.
I exhale. You got your chance soon, Leo.
In the meanwhile, already prepared some food if you're interested in that.
Sure, Beth, Tom's wife made us some breakfast. That feels like ages ago now. Both Hunter and Artemis are at the dining table eating when Ollie and I walk in. I elect to withhold details of the events at Diana's house for now. Instead, I allow myself to relax for the first time today, enjoying the company, the laughter. Listening to Artemis and Hunter bicker, playfully, I think? We're through the chatter and I'm painfully aware of Rofi's absence. It's hard to leave the warm company, especially after the day we all had, but it finally feels like the right time to go to him. I get up. Hey guys, I'm going to make a plate for Rofi and take it upstairs to him. Yeah, I'm sure he's tuckered out and needs a bite. He'd like that. Artemis nods.
Let us know if you need anything, okay?
Ollie clearly reads me like a book. Yeah, of course. Thank you, guys. I quickly heap a collection of food onto an empty plate. Poor dog's probably starving. After the mountain of calories feels adequate for Rofi's appetite, I make my way upstairs. I pause outside his door. Should I knock? That's silly. I was literally sleeping here a few hours ago. But no response. Rofi, I have some food from downstairs. Barely touched your pancakes earlier, so I know you're hungry. Can I come in? Still nothing until I listen closer. Some rustling, and then sound of someone crying. Painful, heavy dread weighs me down right through the floor. Shattered glass. Bitter frost. I almost throw open the door. Rofi? Freezes at the threshold, not even sure what to do. Doesn't look up, but his chest heaves as he cries, hunched up against his bed frame in the wall. Doesn't even feel like he notices me here. Clatter the plate onto his desk before rushing over to him. Oh, Rofi. I instinctively reach to hug him, but then grayscale frames, lit ablaze as a last resort. Fuck. It's all too much to process at once. Gently slump to the floor by his side. A million different words claw their way up my throat, but none of them feel right. I keep my mouth shut, but slowly I start to hear him breathe more regularly. He looks up at me, no brave smile to be found. Then he opens his mouth to speak as he gets the last of his sniffles out. Theo? My throat feels dry as if I was the one just crying. Yes, Rofi, I'm here. Dog wipes one paw across his face, though his tears have already soaked through his fur. They were right, weren't they? I know exactly who he's talking about, but that doesn't feel right to jump to that conclusion just yet. Is this about today? Diana was more than a handful. No, that must have been— No! Not her! Then, was it Theo? It's kind of harsh to— Not him either. Then— Rofi's paws are trembling, damp matted fur discolored by tears. Can't hold myself back any longer. Reach for his paws with mine. Can I? He nods, and I pull them towards me, resting on my legs. I'm here to listen to you, Rofi. Whatever you have to say. Nothing but his sniffling fills the silence. Then finally, Theo? Yeah, Rofi? What does love mean to you? Ouch! Ouch! Ow! Fuck! All of these feel wrong. All of these feel wrong. What is the right thing to say in this moment? Go security. Security. Feeling safe and sound. Like, no matter what happens, it'll be fine in the end. Knowing the path I'm walking will take me to the right place. I don't feel that way often, and not with many people either. What does love mean to you, Rofi? Company. Not just the kind that you go out to dinner with once in a while to catch up. Catching up with most people is exhausting. It's the people that I go to with the little things. I wouldn't text Artemis about the really sweet coffee I just had at the hospital cafe, or Theo about my tummy hurting after eating too much. My relationships with them just don't work that way, and that isn't to say there isn't love or some sort there. It's just different. Different from Mom and Dad. They drive me insane. But they— His voice cracks softly, looks down at her paws, seemingly startled by the sight before gently pulling his away from mine. He clears his throat. They love me in that way. They do want to hear about those things. But with what strings attached? Being forced to stay the wrong path? Growing your happiness secondhand from someone else's? Echoes from the previous night's dreams reverberate loudly in my mind. At what cost? I wince as those words come out. Sorry, I didn't mean to— No, it's okay. At face value, really was no cost at all. To child me, at least. They had everything laid out for me. I just had to check all the boxes off. It was the easiest path, the least resistance. And then a chuckle. And here I am instead, a half-baked healthcare worker on paid vacation. Still working. And almost killing a woman. Wait, killing her? You saved her! He exhales, closing his eyes. At the very end, when I almost gave her the sleeping meds. And Theo stopped me because he was starting to look better. I wasn't thinking straight. Sleeping meds and alcohol both depress your body's drive to breathe. And in an older person, they can stop your breathing altogether. But you said the medication stops seizures, right? Yes, but it was flowing by that time already. And I'm betting Thea had unsafe amounts of alcohol in her system even before we saw her. Fuck. He puts his snout in his paws again, another grim laugh. And then what would I have done, given the woman CPR until emergency services could arrive? To fix what I did? And with the snow in the way, I would have died from exhaustion before they showed up. But that didn't happen, right? That's why you work with other people in the hospital, so they can catch your mistakes. But it couldn't have happened at all. And maybe it wouldn't have if I'd have just listened to them. I ask a question I know the answer to already. Rofi? What did they want? A real doctor. And all they got was an assistant. There are so many things I want to say, so many things I want to ask, but none of them feel right for the moment. I know that this goes further than just his career. The small, simple picture frames in my dream glow bright as ever in my memory. The dog stands up slowly. I'm sorry, Leo. I'm really, really tired. I think I might call it a night early. Don't apologize, Rofi. I think I'm going to do the same if that's okay with you. He nods and flicks his eyes to the bed, clearly remembering our previous night's sleeping arrangement. What did he want? Should we sleep separately tonight? Hey, would it be too presumptuous of me to sleep next to him again? Yeah, I don't know what the right response is. I was a little warm last night. Is it okay if I grab the air mattress? What is that I see in his eyes? Hurt? Relief? Sometimes I can read him so well, and other times he's like a stranger to me. Or maybe I'm a stranger to him. Yeah, of course. That's totally fine. Do you need any help? No, I got it. Thanks, Rofi. As I turn to leave, I see him reach for the plate I left on his desk. Good, at least he's eating. Step into the living room. I can hear laughter echoing from the basement, a mix of Hunter, Ollie, and Artemis. I should update them, at least briefly. Turn and descend the second flight of stairs. Looks like an intense pool game is going on, except all the striped balls are gone and pretty much every solid ball is still on the table. Hunter and Ollie are seated on the couch while Artemis places his pool cue. Hey, Leo! He gestures to the clearly one-sided game. Want a round after? I'm okay, but thanks. Ollie, reading my mind, pipes up.
How's Rofi?
He's really tuckered out after everything that happened today. The mood dampens quickly. Is he alright? I'm honestly not sure. I think he'll need a bit of time to rest.
Theo made the situation sound really stressful, but he said that Rofi navigated it quite well.
I nod, but decide not to disclose anything more. Yeah, it definitely took a lot out of him, I agree.
Gosh, I hope he's able to rest up tonight.
Yeah, I think he's calling it a night early, but I wanted to let you guys know. Thanks, dude. We'll be extra nice to him tomorrow. I think I'm heading up too. I'm just going to keep him company. I think he'd appreciate that. I nod and thank the bunch before returning to the living room for the air mattress. Knock again and Rofi calls out, "Come in!" The dog is sprawled out on his bed, staring at the ceiling. Hey. Sorry for dumping all that on you. No, it's okay. Are you feeling a little better? The dog nods wordlessly. I think I believe him. Is there anything I can do? Please tell me. Feels like he's about to ask for something. This time yesterday, a hug would have felt more than appropriate. But today? I'm okay. But thank you, Leo. I exhale silently, heart sinking. We exist together in this room quietly. Doesn't feel awkward, just different. At some point, I plug in the air mattress, punctuating the still air with soft motor noises. Want me to turn off the lights? Yes, please. Darkness fills the room as I find my way back to my air mattress, making myself comfortable. Is he asleep? I'm afraid to move around and make any noise. I want him to sleep well. Leo? My fur bristles startled by his voice. Yeah, Rofi? Thank you for being here. Touch of relief spreads through my chest. Always. I think I mean it. Not long afterwards, I hear Rofi's breathing slow as he slips into a deep sleep. I spend the next hour scrolling on my phone in the dark. Doesn't take long before sleep consumes me too. Ouch! Ow! Stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.